Okay, we are back, and this is Talkback. 721-1290 is our number, 1-800-568-5309. We are privileged, though, to have with us on the phone right now Emma Anderson. She's the executive director of the Watson's Children's Shelter. Good morning, Emma. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you?
We're doing just great. Now, if you don't mind, Emma, for folks who really haven't been around Missoula for a while and don't understand the work you do, what exactly is Watson's Children's Shelter, and what do you do?
So Watson Children's Shelter, it's a long-standing agency here in the Missoula community. We provide emergency shelter care for kids who have been removed from their parents' care, whether that's due to abuse or neglect or family crisis. We have 2 shelters, and then we also have a family support program called Healthy Foundations, where we do intensive home visiting with families who are struggling in one way or another, whether that's with food insecurity, housing insecurity, substance use, mental health concerns, things along those lines.
Okay. Now, I know, been following this very closely for the last several years. When did you open your second facility, Emma?
We opened our second facility in 2010.
Wow, was it really that long ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Time flies when you're having fun, right?
Sure does.
Yeah. No, okay.
I'm actually new to the role here, so I've been the executive director here for just about 2 months.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, welcome to the fun, right?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Right. Yeah, I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, no, I do know that one of the topics that we've been talking about a lot on this show, especially with some of the other agencies around town, is with the arrival of methamphetamine and the devastating impact it's had on families and especially on kids. So can you address that a little bit from your perspective from the Watson's Children's Shelter?
Definitely. Yeah, there's definitely a significant impact on kids and families when it comes to methamphetamine use. I think we're kind of seeing it from both ends of things here. Like I said, we do care for kids who have been removed from their parents' care, and more often than not, one of the reasons they were was because of substance use. And that's just really hard to see, and oftentimes, kids just get the worst of that and are not getting the care that they really deserve and they need. And then with our Healthy Foundations program, we work with families who are suffering from substance use issues, and it's really hard because they want to be able to be safe and nurturing parents to their kids, so making sure they're connected to the resources that they need and get the help and support so that they can be safe and nurturing parents.
Well, now, how many kids do you have right now in both of your shelters, Emma?
So total, we've got 24 kids. We're full. That's the max capacity that we can have.
How long do the kids normally stay in your guys' care?
So kids stay in our care. The average length of stay is about 90 days, and it really can go from a very short time here, whether that's just for a weekend or a week or two, or some kids end up staying here for a lot longer than that, just depending on what the circumstances of their placement is, if they have any foster care that they can go to, if they have relative placements, things along those lines. But if not, then they may stay with us for quite a while.
What does that placement process look like?
So the placement process, actually the social workers with CFS are the individuals who are making those placement decisions. We ultimately, if there's a child who needs somewhere to stay, they don't have a foster care placement, they can't be in their home any longer safely, they don't have a relative placement, then they may refer to us. And if we have an available spot, then we would have that kid come and stay with us. We'd provide care to them until that social worker decided that there was another option for that child, whether that was returning home to their parents, going into a foster placement, or they found a relative caretaker for them.
Well, now, Emma, what does it take? Let's say you've got, say, a 5-year-old, okay, a 5-year-old, and has been placed in your care. What are the parameters upon which that child could be returned to their parent or parents?
So, like I said, those decisions are really up to DCFS, which is not what we do. We just are providing the emergency care in the interim. But I know from my past experience, I worked as a CPS social worker in Seattle, so it's a little different than here in Missoula. But I know that the biggest thing that they're looking for is just ensuring the safety of that child. Well, they know without a doubt that that kid is going to be able to remain safe in their parents' care if they're returned home.
Sure. So when the intake of the child, what is that process like? Or, I imagine quite a few of them actually come in, maybe even in the middle of the night, right? When they're, especially if they're in danger in their own homes.
Right. So we are a 24-hour shelter. We're here all day and all night, and we have staff that entire time. Usually we have an idea about a child that may be coming into our care, and so we can be more planful for that. But when they come in, we have everything that they need right off the get-go. Every kid in our shelter has their own room, and so we get their room set up for them. We ask them, what's their favorite color, and we can try to make their bedspread look the way that they would like it to look. We give them clothes for the week. We get them all set up. We give them a stuffed animal, some toys just to make them feel more comfortable. And our kitchen manager, Sonia, does her best to prepare a meal for them that week that may be one of their favorite meals, and just helps them feel more like this is a very safe environment, and that this can be a comfortable home for them for the time being.
Now, what about like clothing, Emma? I know some of these kids arrive and maybe all they have with them are their clothes on their back, and then you guys are kind of tasked with providing everything that they need. What, maybe besides clothing, do you also provide for them?
We provide all of the basic needs for any child that comes into our care. You're right when you say a lot of kids show up here really with just the clothes on their backs. That's all they have. So we provide them with all of the supplies that they might need for school. We provide them with any hygiene materials that they might need. We give them clothes, shoes, jackets. We make sure that they have toys to play with, appropriate for their age. And that's something that we think is really important as well, is that any kid who comes into our care, whatever they get while they're here, they leave with those items. So they're not something we're giving them for them to borrow. It's something that they're able to go wherever they're off to next. They have those materials with them and whatever they need.
Joining us on the phone is Emma Anderson. She is the executive director of the Watson's Children's Shelter. It sounds like you guys are a bunch of angels over there. You know what I mean? Because when a child is coming out of a stressful, perhaps even abusive situation, and they come into the Watson's Children's Shelter, and they've got some really nice people to help them. So tell me, where do you get your people? And are they all volunteers or what?
So they're not all volunteers. Our program director for the shelter care program, she has been around essentially from the dawn of Watson's and where it began in the community, which was in the home of Janice Watson. So she really can speak to the transition that our agency has gone through over the years. But we have really committed staff. They go through pretty intensive training because, like you mentioned, the kids that come into our care oftentimes have been exposed to different traumas or come from a really stressful environment. And we want to not only provide really nurturing care to them and be attentive to their needs, but also provide a structure that helps them feel really safe and like they know what to expect and what's coming next, and they know what's expected of them when they're in our care as well.
Now, I would imagine you said something very important earlier, and that each child is given his or her own room. And I will bet you that most of these kids have never had their own room. Is that kind of a new and kind of interesting experience for them?
Yeah, I think you're right in that. And it actually is pretty exciting for a lot of the kids. I think they get the opportunity to decorate their room in ways that they would like, or hang up little pictures that they drew or posters on the wall. And I think that's a special thing for a lot of them that they may have never gotten to experience before. And if they come in and they're a sibling group, maybe there's a couple kids, a brother and a sister, we do let them stay in the same room if they would like to do that, so they can feel that comfort of someone that they know and trust and love. But we do provide a room for each and every kid to have their own bedroom.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, Emma, is there a certain age group that you guys take care of, or is it kind of all over the map?
It's all over the map. So our houses are split up in the way of our older shelter, the one that we built in 2000. We care for children infant through age 5 there. And then in our other shelter, which is out towards Blue Mountain, we care for kids age 5 through 14. So that's the max in terms of age, but it really depends on the day, and it can be really spread out and in terms of age groups.
Now, do you guys plan any like activities outside of the house? I mean, is there anything that you guys take the kids to that's fun, or is it kind of all in the house?
Was one of them right by Fort Missoula, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one's right by Fort Missoula. So, I don't think things would go well if we kept the kids inside our houses all day. It's important for us to give every kid that's in our care the opportunity to have those normal childhood experiences. So, a lot of the kids in our care are enrolled in school, obviously, if they're of school age. So during the school year, they're really busy with that. But on the weekends, we take them on different excursions, whether that's outside, it's going camping or fishing or going on hikes, playing different sports, things like that. All the kids who come into our care also get swimming lessons, and, we do keep them really busy, and we just want to give them the opportunities that any child should be able to have. So they're pretty busy here.
Well, and now, obviously, with the pandemic that's going on, schools are closed, and, there's not a lot of places you can go and do things. How is that impacting you guys over there?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. It really is, it's tough in certain aspects. I think, like you mentioned, they're out of school, and so normally during the summer we have a really detailed, intensive summer program that we put the kids through, and they have all these activities, and they're really busy, and they're engaged in the community, and right now it's just not safe for us to do that. So they are spending a lot more time in our shelters, and we do have outside space here, and we're doing our best to be creative and think of ways to get them out of the house and get them to a park or get them to an outdoor space. But, we, in the midst of all of this, we don't really have the option of shutting down. We have 24 kids that really continue to need our care through this time. So we're just doing our best to keep all of the kids and all of the staff here as safe and healthy as we can.
Allow me to ask you this: with all the guidelines that social distancing and that sort of thing, how do you do that with a house full of 24 children, and especially children that they like to play together, like to do things together? How do you accomplish that?
Right. It's a little bit tricky, actually. So in terms of the social distancing piece, we recognize that the kids in our care, they're going to be exposed to each other. There's kind of no way around that. But we, like I talked about before, we're not having them go do activities in town where they might be exposed to other individuals, and, doing those social distancing practices and also practicing really diligent hygiene for our staff as well, because the staff are rotating in and out. The kids are here, and so it's kind of a safe bubble for them to be in, but the staff are rotating in and out, and they do go home. And so we're really working on educating all of the staff who live here just about what are the safest practices for them to use during this time to hopefully not expose any of the kids in our care to the virus, to COVID-19.
And I would imagine, too, that a lot of these kids are hungry for some expressions of love and affection, right? And whether that's a hug or a high five or whatever it might be, especially the younger kids. And that's got to be really hard when the CDC says, well, you got to have 6 feet between, I'm wondering, that's got to be a challenge for you.
It definitely is, and I think you're right on that a lot of kids that come into our care are starved for that, but I think there are other ways that we can also show them love and affection, and we work to do that. We have really well-qualified staff who are really attentive to the care of each individual child, and so, like I mentioned before, making meals, that's like one of the kids in our home, their favorite meal, and so they get to have that for lunch or for dinner, and we work really hard to make sure that they feel like they're having, their experience here is really attentive to their needs. And so even if that is lacking in some physical touch areas, there are other ways that we can still show them love and care. You bet.
Just a few precious minutes left. Joining us on the phone, we have Emma Anderson, Executive Director of the Watson's Children's Shelter. And joining us also on the phone, Emmett, you wanted to visit with Emma, so go ahead. Emmett to Emma,
please.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Thanks, I really appreciate the work you do. But with this COVID-19, I used to work when I was a teenager, and because I was taking Child Development 1, I would work in day cares, and they would give me a lot of their colds and their flus and some serious strep throats, too. But, even with this social distancing and the COVID-19. I understand the health concerns, but children still need love and hugs and affection. If you're going to be in a room with children, you're likely to either get something from them or, heaven forbid, give something to them. There's just no way around it. So I still think it's important to embrace children, to hug them and everything, because they need hugs just like they need air to breathe and good food to eat and nutrition. And if I had a family, even if we were stuck here, with COVID-19 and playing chess, I would still, and watching TV, I'd still give them a hug. I mean, there's no way around it, because there are certain things in life you need. You need God, you need clean, good food that's nutritious and well balanced, and you need hugs and embraces. So,
Emma, we got to get another call on.
Yes.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. So, Emma, your reaction to that?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Kids do need that love and affection and hugs and touch and all of those things, and that's something that we're definitely aware of here, and we provide as much of that as we possibly can to children.
Good deal.
And yeah.
Anna's up next. Hi, Anna. You're on with Emma. Go ahead.
Yes, I need to make a comment. Every year, once a year, I donate to the Watson's Children's Center. And once a year, I get a notice from them. And they're unlike any other organization. You don't get hounded after that. It's once a year. And then after I donate, I usually get a personal thank you for my donation, which is very rare from organizations.
Well, that's great.
So, Emma, I want to thank you for that. And if anybody wants to donate to a place, I would suggest this. You donate once a year, you will get a thank you, and you will not be hounded the rest of the year. So, Emma, you're doing it perfectly.
And Emma, thank you for the call, Anna. That's great. Appreciate it. Well, that's got to make you feel good, Emma, right?
Yeah, definitely. I'm so glad to hear that one of our donors would say that about us. I think we recognize that we would not be able to operate without the community support that we get, and so we're so very grateful for that, and really want to, just say thank you. So,
all right. So let's get down to business here. We got exactly 5 minutes left in the show. So tell us what you need. How can our vast, or shall I say half-vast, listening audience, how can we help you?
Great question. So at the moment, we have closed our doors to in-person donations. Just for the next couple weeks, we're going to really see how things continue to shift and change in regard to COVID-19, but trying to minimize connection with community members coming into our buildings. But we don't know how long this is going to last. We don't. This may go on for a lot longer than any of us hope for. So we need things like, we need food, we need clothes, we need basic needs, those things we're using every day, toilet paper, the hygiene products, those types of things.
So how can we get those to you, Emma, if we can't come into the facility? Can we just drop it off, or what?
Yeah, we're working on that. So I think one thing that you can do, we're going to be continually updating our social media and our website around the very specific needs that we have, and we're trying to figure out a process where we can receive those donations in a way that is just protecting us from any potential risk.
Sure, yeah. And there's got to be a way to make that happen, right?
Yes, I agree. And I think something I wanted to mention as well is that we have our 20th annual Bike for Shelter event at the end of May. It's May 30th. And, we're so excited for the event, but in light of everything going on, I just want to put it out there and have people know that we recognize the gravity of the situation, and we are not willing to put the community at risk. We're just taking it day by day right now and continuing to plan, and we continue to need volunteers for that, but ultimately we'll see what happens, because we're definitely not wanting to put anybody in the community at risk, any participants, volunteers, any staff. So
sure. So obviously, if people want to give money, that's an easy one, right? Because you don't have to go to the shelter to give money. I'm sure there's a website. There's a way we can do that from a distance.
Yes. You definitely can. It's really easy, actually. If you go to our website, www.watsonchildrenshelter.org, we will, it'll pop up, actually, right away of just ways to donate, and whether that's money that you can get it set up through your credit card or through your debit card online. It's really, really easy that way.
All right, excellent. So we have exactly 2 minutes left in the show, Emma. So why don't you tell us what you enjoy the most about being the executive director there at Watson's Children's Shelter?
Wow, I think, there are so many things. I honestly am feeling really honored to be in this position right now. I think the work that we do here is so incredible. The quality of care that we provide to kids, I think that gives me a lot of joy. As somebody who once worked as a CPS social worker, really on the front lines, seeing the impacts of abuse and neglect, the impacts on families, the impacts on kids, to be able to provide a safe and nurturing place to meet all of their needs, that just gives me a lot of joy. And then on the other side of things, I am a big believer in prevention, and we recently implemented our Healthy Foundations program that works with families who are struggling, whether that's with, like I mentioned before, poverty, if they have food insecurity, mental health concerns, all of those things. We come alongside them and help give them the skills that they need and supports that they need to make sure that their kids can remain safe and nurtured in their care as well. So I love, as an agency, that we're willing to go on to both sides of this issue and really fully encompass what it means for child welfare.
So give us, once again, the contact information, address, where we can send stuff, phone number, things like that.
Yes, definitely. So if you go to our website, watsonchildrenshelter.org, we update all of our needs on there. Our address is, we're out off Buckhouse Lane, right by the Peak Tennis Club, 4978 Buckhouse Lane. And you can feel free to give us a call if you have any questions about the best way to give. That's 549-0058.
Excellent. Well, it's been a pleasure and an honor talking with you, Emma. And thanks for the work you do, okay?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Take care. Be safe.
Will do.
Okay, thanks.